What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Dr. Killjoy coming back at you again. It's my favorite time of the week. We had another weekend of COD, so it's time for another power rankings and recap. Real quick, my cam is blocking it. If I click down on... There you go. You can see they added a little match details button. We'll click on that real quick, show off the new feature. It shows all the scores to each map. That's a cool new feature they added. Absolutely love to see it supporting the competitive scene. We'll take every little bit of it. So, going back into it. Right there. So, first match of the weekend, we got the LA Guerillas home series. Starting off on Thursday, you have Empire with a 3-0 over the Mutineers and Optic with a 3-0 over Surge. Those two teams going to meet in our very last match of the weekend. Looking forward to that one. We'll get there in a minute. So, moving on to Friday, you have 3-0 Ultra over Ravens. Kind of disappointing for me. I was on the Ravens hype train. And to get 3-0'd like that, and their weekend doesn't get any better than that. So you hate to see it. You got Guerillas 3-2 over Atlanta FaZe, giving FaZe their first loss of the year. They absolutely smoked them in the Search and Destroys. I think the overall round count was like 12-2. So LAG, they got the respawn they needed, and they smoked them in the S&Ds, which has been one of FaZe's strongest game modes. So FaZe finally took a loss, therefore they're going bottom tier. They're going D. LAG's got to go S, basically, is what I'm saying. We'll get to that in a minute, though. You got Legion with a 3-1 win over the Mutineers. Kind of surprising to me, honestly. But Legion can beat anyone in the league, quote me. You got Rocker with a reverse sweep 3-2 over the Surge in the S&D Game 5. I don't know what Octane was doing laying prone there. If you watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Accuracy had a 1 versus 3 that he ended up winning. And I don't know. Like, he shouldn't have won it. Straight up simple, he should not have won it. But the reverse sweep came through 3-2. Looking good with Standy on the squad. You got Subliners 3-1 over Ultra. Basically what you would expect if you're asking me. FaZe back on track. 3-0 over the London Royal Ravens. Not a good weekend for London, but against a pissed-off FaZe, you're going to get 3-0'd. Thieves lose 3-0 to LAG. They were without Kenny due to medical issues, and I just saw a tweet before I started recording that their roster going into the major is going to be Kenny, TJ Halley, Venom, and they're subbing Slasher out for Draza, which is going to be interesting. I didn't think Slasher would ever get subbed out of that lineup. We'll see how it works for him. I don't know. That's a risky move to pull, but hey, we'll see if it pays off. And then to end the weekend, you had a phenomenal series. This is definitely my series to watch this weekend. If you did miss out, I'd probably say this one and then the Rocker reverse sweep, also a strong series to watch. But this one was a good series. The control came down to round 5, 1 versus 1. There was an insane 1v1 in the game 5, but Optic ended up pulling through. They smoked them in the last S&D, and I think the first S&D actually, but strong series right there. So, let's hop on into our power rankings. On a new power rankings made by someone else. The Twitter is down below. You could follow the Twitter of the previous guy as well. Got some new pretty looking icons. So, starting off with Optic, 2-0 on the weekend. They beat Dallas 3-2, and they beat Seattle 3-0. I have some notes here, but they're kind of messy. So, I'm going to go ahead and put Optic back in the S tier. They had an off weekend last weekend. They dropped down to A. They're right back in S, where they belong. That's what we expected out of them. If they would have... Last weekend was a fluke, and it would have been very scary if it wasn't. I don't know. Like, it would have been very unexpected if they didn't bounce back this weekend. Maybe lose to Dallas, but definitely beat Surge. Even though Surge are looking good. We'll get to them, though. Dallas 1-1 on the weekend. Their only loss was to Optic. They're still going to be an S-tier team. Ooh, this is tough, though. I'm going to put them underneath Optic for now, simply because of that head-to-head match. Because I could see those two teams trading head-to-head all season long. Their series are so good when they play each other. So hopefully we see that matchup a lot more often. Dallas is also going to have to play New York in round 1 of the major. So that is a very tough round 1 matchup for them. Moving on, LAG 2-0 on the weekend. Look at LAG. Again, a team that I think could beat anyone. I don't know that they have the potential to win an event. I mean, they have winners on the squad. I think everyone outside of Vivid has won a tourney. Yeah, they got Apathy, Silly, Assault. Yeah, they've all won champs. Outside of Vivid. We'll put them in the B tier, though. I don't think they're quite... An A tier, I could see winning an event, winning the major. B tier, I don't think... LAG would be a dark horse candidate to win an event right now. Moving on, LA Thieves have not been looking their best recently. They've been using a lot of different rosters, some by choice, some not by choice. Unfortunately, Kenny wasn't able to play this weekend due to health issues, like I said earlier. They lost 0-3 to LAG. I'm going to put them in the C tier, borderline D, just because they haven't been looking good recently. Maybe this change is going to be what sets them on the right path, because I expect them to be minimum top 6 by the end of the year. LA Thieves has no excuse to not be minimum top 6 by the end of the year. And I expect them to, and if they're not, call me out on it, because I'm saying that they will be top 6 by the end of the year. Minimum. I could see them even top 4. 100%. I could see it happening. Next up, you got FaZe, 1-1 on the weekend. They lost 2-3 to LAG for their first loss of the year, and then they beat London Royal Ravens 3-0, so they're going to go in the D tier. They're still the best team in the league, and it's not close. They did show that they are vulnerable, but they are still by far and away the best team until proven otherwise. This major is where they could be proven otherwise by some of these S and A tier teams. London did not look very good. They needed to beat Ultra, 100%. They probably could have flipped that map score on Ultra, beat Ultra 3-0, but they didn't. I'm still a believer in London, so we'll put them in B tier for now, but definitely below LAG, as LAG shined this weekend. Next up, you got the New York Subliners, 1-0 on the weekend, 3-1 win. We're going to go ahead and put them still in the A tier. I don't think that they've crossed that line to S. The major is where they can convince me that they've crossed the line to S. They would have to do a whole lot of wrong to cross the line down into B. I don't know that it's possible for them to go down to B unless they get smoked 6-0, don't even compete in any of the maps, and that's not going to happen with Clayster as a leader on that team. So New York could convince me that they belong in S this weekend, this upcoming weekend, I believe. That's our major. We got an exciting weekend, don't we? Also, another trend. Last weekend, every team that only played one match, they all went 1-0. This weekend, out of the 4 teams that only played one match, 3 of them won their match. LA Thieves was the one outlier. They lost their match. The other 3 teams that only played one match, they won. So in the last 2 weekends, if you only play one match, you're 7-1. It's a very interesting stat in my opinion. I would think the more you play, the more likely you are to win. But also that's more footage on you for other teams to study. So I don't know. It's an interesting stat to keep track of. Where are we at? We're on the Toronto Ultra. 1-1 on the weekend. They smoked the Royal Ravens. And then they took a loss to the Subliners. I just don't have faith in the Ultra as a squad. I did put London in B, though. Because I believe in London more than I believe in Ultra. Ultra just came out hot, I suppose. I'm putting them in C, even though they 3-0'd them. And if you have a problem with that, let me know in the comments. And I might switch it after the major. We'll see how the major plays out. Next up, you got the Minnesota Rocker. Standy. Just changed the whole vibe on the roster. Attach has been frying. Standy has been frying. Priest has been doing really good in the flex role. That's his natural role. He should have been that all along. I don't know why he wasn't. Accuracy, always going to be a consistent main AR, especially when he has those 3 doing some hard work in front of him. He's going to shine for sure. He won a 1 versus 3 in Game 5 in the reverse sweep. They're going to go A tier. Ooh, they could go in above or below. I think these teams are about the same right now. I want to see these 2 match up against each other. That would be a good series. We'll put them above right now simply because of the fact that they got the number 1 seed when they started down 0-2. And then they made the switch. They showed resiliency, so they can be above New York for now, but I think those 2 teams are basically even in my mind currently. Next up, you got the Seattle Surge, 2-3 loss and a 0-3 loss. But they are looking better. The 0-3 was to Optic, and those maps were close. If you go back and watch, I think it was the S&D that wasn't close, but the Hardpoint and the Control were both very close. And then they lost 2-3 to the Rocker. They got reverse swept, which sucks for them. That game 5 still bewilders me. Surge are looking better, though. I need them to win some series. I want to put them in the B tier right now. I'll be honest, I want to put them in B because I'm starting to become a believer. But I'm not. They need to win series to earn the B tier because they did go 0-2, so I don't feel right putting them in the B tier, but they could easily go up to the B tier in my opinion. Next up, you got the Paris Legion, 3-1 on the weekend. They beat Florida, so good win for them. I wouldn't have expected it, but Paris for the rest of the year, you'll hear me say this a lot. Heads up right now. They can beat any team in the league. They will not win a tournament. And that's just how I feel about this team until further notice. They have some very talented players. I just don't think that they can win a tournament with this team. I don't know. I just don't believe in them to win a whole tournament, but they can beat any single team in this league. With that being said, they can go at the bottom of the B tier. They got the win. They're going to be a B or a C team for basically the rest of the year, probably. I'm just going to tell it how it is. Last but not least, you got the Florida Mutineers. 0-2 on the weekend, a 1-3 loss and a 0-3 loss. It's tough to see for them. This team should be better than they are. And I really don't. Maybe they need a team change. Maybe. I don't know. I think Neptune's good. Awakening's good. Slacked is good. Who's their fourth? Who am I missing? Awakening, Neptune, Slacked.
2,000 years later.
I have no clue. It's zero idea. I'm going to look it up after the video. I won't do it right now, but I'll look it up after the video, and I'm going to be pissed. Florida, though, 0-2 on the weekend. Unacceptable out of them. I'm going to put them right there because they should be better than they are. They really have no excuse as to why they aren't performing as a top minimum 6 team. Kind of how I feel about LA Thieves. That's why those two teams are on the bottom, because it's just very disappointing results. So that's going to do it for today's Power Rankings. Very exciting major coming up. You got Dallas and New York round 1. Potential Optic and FaZe winners round 2. So we're going to get some bangers. That's going to do it for today. Let me know what you guys think down below. Where's your favorite team ranked? Who needs to be higher? Who needs to be lower? That's going to do it for today. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.